Hey guys, today's play a game of Black Dahlia. So this is a adventure game that was released in 1998. And yeah, I think it's the same company that released Hell, a Cyberpunk Thriller, and Ripper actually did Black Dahlia. So it's probably along similar lines, another murder mystery type of point-and-click adventure. Yeah, I actually really liked Ripper. It was like a FMV game where you investigate the murders, right, related to this futuristic Jack the Ripper type serial killer. This one looks like it's related to, of course, the Black Dahlia murder, which occurred in the post-war U.S. And yeah, this is a very famous murder as well. So yeah, I'm interested to check this one out as well. Let's see how it goes. Okay, 1941. That's when the U.S. joins World War II. At the end of 1941, Japanese attack Pearl Harbor.
Come in.
So yeah, this one. The Black Dahlia murder is interesting because the guy actually cut her torso in half.
Relax,
cut her body
son.
in half,
this isn't the academy.
The guy actually cut her body in half at the torso.
And Mr. Sullivan will do just fine. I think you'll find that the COI is a bit more informal than your other branches of government. Now, let's set you to work. Some city detectives sent this complaint over to us. It should be pretty straightforward. If you have any questions about the assignment, don't hesitate to ask. The door's always open, son.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sullivan.
What is it, Mr. Pearson? Oh, yes, of course, your office. It's across the hall, and please forgive the mess. Your predecessor departed rather unexpectedly, and we're still short-staffed and haven't had a chance to clear it out for you. Well, I hope you can handle things on your own. It's something you're going to have to get used to with the COI.
Private detective, of course.
President Roosevelt had just authorized the formation of the COI that summer. They were supposed to be the outfit that handled the real spy stuff overseas. It was the place to be if you wanted real adventure. At least, that was the bill of goods the recruiters for the COI sold me. And here I was, stuck in a crummy old office, in Cleveland of all places, as far away from any real action as I could imagine.
Yeah, I like the kind of post-war, I mean, this is actually during World War II, I think. But I like the film noir type of vibe from this game. Yeah, you're like a hard-boiled detective, film noir vibe. Pretty nice. Alright, so let's see, check. Oh, I can actually move. Whoa, okay. I can move around the whole office. Okay, it's a little bit of an upgrade from Ripper, where I had to use I had to like go through the FMV sequence every time I moved. It's interesting. What's this? Okay. Can I open that? Nope, it's locked. Skull. People had skulls in their office back then. I don't know. Yeah, cool. Now it goes to an FMV. So this is an upgrade over Ripper for sure. Ripper is like whenever you move anywhere, you gotta see this FMV sequence. This one is like only when you can look around the entire office, you know, without going through an FMV sequence. So that's good. Anything up? Okay, Hitler's armor. Okay, still. This is during World War II. Still talking about Hitler. Himmler. Heinrich Himmler. Yes. Your second in command. I'm not sure who to dial, so we'll just leave that one. Yeah, I really like the setting of this game, 1940s film noir type of vibe. Can I not go in that door? Okay. baseball players there. That was the major sport in the U.S. at the time. Joe DiMaggio, you know, Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth. Classic hitters back then. We go back to Sullivan's office.
Yes?
Sorry to bother you, sir.
Not at all, Mr. Pearson. Come right in.
Can I ask him some questions?
Sir, what happened to the fellow I'm replacing?
Walter Pensky. Good man. And a good agent. Once. The job got the better of him.
I imagine you must have been under a lot of pressure, sir.
We all are these days. Just remember, Mr. Pearson, we follow orders, not personal crusades.
I will, sir. I have a question about this case file, sir.
Certainly. What is it?
Sir, this munitions owner, Mr. Finster, is there anything you can tell me about him that wasn't in the report?
Hank Finster is an interesting case. He's an important man with the fellows in the Defense Department on account of the munitions factories he owns. But he's not wound all too tight, if you catch my meaning. Well, it's always one thing after another with him. If it isn't the unions, it's the Reds. If it isn't the Reds, it's the Nazis. But he may have something there. Take a look at that invitation. What do you make of it?
Well, the invitation's a little unusual, but it looks like fascist propaganda to me.
And that it is, son. Now, I'm not saying it's Nazi propaganda. There are 100 different organizations with fascist agendas, but this call to brotherhood could have come straight out of Hitler's Germany. Did you notice the quality of the invitation itself? It's not a pamphlet or a flyer. Whoever these people are, they have a certain amount of sophistication. And they seem to be targeting only people of wealth and influence in our society. We'll need to be careful not to ruffle any feathers.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Henry Finster.
Who handled this case when it first came in, sir?
The city detective named Marillo. I guess he's got his hands full now. He's handling the torso murders investigation. Terrible work, that. They found another one just yesterday.
Torso murders, I guess, is that's a reference to the Black Dahlia murder. Right? She was murdered at the torso. Her body was cut in half right at the torso. So yeah, interesting. Okay, I think that's all we got for now. Get out of here. Look around. Alright, Detective Merrill's office, my office. Let's go to Finster's office.
Excuse me, could you tell me where Mr. Finster's office is?
He's up there. You're welcome.
Excuse me, Mr. Finster? Jim Pearson from the COI. I've been assigned to investigate your complaint.
What the hell took you so long? I guess all my calls to Mayor Lausch finally got you guys off your cans.
What can you tell me about this Brotherhood, Mr. Finster?
What can I tell you? Oh, what makes you think I can tell you anything? I'll tell you what it is, though. It's a Nazi conspiracy is what it is.
No, what makes you say that, Mr. Finster? The invitation has no swastikas, no insignia, no clear-cut signs of Nazi involvement.
Now, you mark my words, young man. This is a Nazi conspiracy, or my name isn't Henry W. Finster.
I'm gonna need some hard facts before I'm able to make that stick with my superior, sir.
Where do they find you guys? What, they just pull you out of a pumpkin patch? It's right before your eyes. Those screwy symbols.
You recognize the symbols on that invitation?
I've seen them all over Germany.
When were you in Germany, Mr. Finster?
Don't you give me that look.
Mr. Finster, I...
There is nothing wrong with Germany. My grandparents were born in Deutschland. We still have family there. The German people are upstanding, hard-working, God-fearing folk. And the American worker can learn a thing or two from them. The only thing wrong with Germany is that Austrian peasant and his gang of street thugs.
My apologies, Mr. Finster. I am only trying to establish the facts in the case.
Okay. It's been 15, 20 years now since I've been here. But I will never forget those symbols.
Do you have any idea what those symbols mean?
Of course not. I would never have anything to do with that sort of thing.
What do you remember about the man that gave you that invitation, Mr. Finster?
He's a no-good bum, I remember that.
Do you remember his name?
Hey, I employed a Nazi sympathizer right here in my own factory.
He was an employee of yours?
Of course not. I don't hire Nazis.
I'm sorry. I'm a little confused. Who's the Nazi?
Why did they send a boy to do a man's job? What are they trying to do? Drive me crazy?
Wait just a minute, Mr. Finster. That's not called for.
My foreman, George Hansen. I used to think he was a good man. Well, he drinks a little bit too much, but he's a hard worker. Well, anyway, how am I supposed to know he traffics with Nazis? Well, he brings this riffraff right through my doors, into my factory, right into my office. He could have killed me. He was standing as close to me as you are right now. Well, naturally, I fired him on the spot.
Riffraff.
No, you idiot. George Hansen. Haven't you been listening to a word I said?
Do you remember the name of the man that gave you that invitation?
Of course not. He never mentioned it. He said he was just a messenger.
Man, this guy is... he's a little bit office rocker. Alright.
Can you describe this messenger for me?
I already described him to that detective. Look, I even picked his photograph out of one of their books. Oh, but he didn't care. All he was interested in was that vagrant killer. If you ask me, he's doing this city a big favor.
I wouldn't know anything about that, sir. Can you describe him again for me, please? For my benefit.
You know, if you guys had done your work in the first place, you'd already know this. Yeah, he looked like a killer. Real mean, squinty eyes, red hair, and the bushiest red beard you'd ever want to see. Hey, there's no mistaking this guy.
Do you have any idea where I might be able to find this messenger?
Of course not.
Okay, what about this other fellow, the foreman?
Well, he used to live in company housing, but I had him evicted, of course.
You have any idea where I might be able to find him?
A man of my standing doesn't fraternize with his workers. Although, I have been told that George likes to throw his money around a lot on payday. The men, they like this cheap whiskey saloon in the Roaring Third. McGillies, McGarrity's, some kind of Mick name. McGinty's, that's the name of it, McGinty's.
Okay. Must be his wife. Alright, McGinty's Bar. Detective Merrill's office is around here.
Come in.
Excuse me, Detective Merillo? I'm Jim Pearson. I'm from the COI. I'm here about Mr. Finster's complaint.
What? This had better be good, kid. I'm up to my neck in murders.
You were the detective that handled Mr. Finster's complaint?
Finster. Oh, yeah, Finster. I remember him now. Listen, kid. If I had a nickel for every so-called Nazi spy in this city, I would be a very rich man.
So you don't think his complaint was legitimate?
Ever since you secret agent types start stirring people up about Nazi spies, every Tom, Dick, and Harry with a beef about his neighbors has been into my office. You care to take a guess how many of them panned out?
Well, what did your investigation reveal? Was there anything to the invitation? You did investigate this, didn't you?
Now listen, Sonny! There's a butcher on the loose in my city. I didn't have time. Hey, isn't that sort of thing your job now? I don't have time to babysit another Fed.
Detective, I understand you must be very busy right now.
You don't understand nothing! Every day, it seems, we find another body or a part of a body. We don't have enough good leads and we don't have enough men to cover this case, and on top of that, I got some horse's ass from the Federal Bureau of Investigation looking over my shoulder trying to tell me how to do my job.
I'm sorry to have bothered you, Detective. I'll be on my way.
This case is gonna be the death of me yet. For what it's worth, kid, Finster had a look at the mugshot books. He said he spotted the Joe what handed him that screwy invitation. I think he even marked the books and everything. You can have a look through them if you think it'll help.
Thank you, Detective. Are you any closer to catching the torso killer?
That sick son of a bitch has been too clever.
How's that?
Well, for starters, he's not leaving enough behind for us to identify. Our best guess is he's cutting up bums and whores, people nobody'd miss. Takes them apart real clean, too, like a doctor. 2 whacks and he's through. The queerest thing is, he bleeds them dry, washes them clean, and wraps them up like a butcher, all nice and neat in newspapers. It's like nothing I've ever seen, and I've seen plenty.
I'm sure it's only a matter of time before something breaks through.
Oh, you got that right. His kind always slips up. And when he does, bang! I'm gonna be right there on top of him.
Yep. This type of murder is exactly the same type of murders of the Black Dahlia.
Hasn't the FBI been able to give you any relief with the torso investigation?
Ah, that's a good one, kid. Elliot Ness has saddled me with a junior AG man named Winslow, who doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. About all he's done is look pretty in his fancy suits for the photo boys and flapped his gums to the reporters about how he is gonna catch that killer.
Alright. Don't think there's anything else around his office. Let's go. Alright, let's go to McGinty's bar. See if there's any leads here.
And now for the day's news. Our top story today comes straight from the tough and tumble neighborhood of Kingsbury Run. There, the police continue their exhaustive manhunt for the torso killer.
Excuse me, I'm looking for a man named George Hansen. He used to be...
I never heard of him.
Listen, buddy, I'm not trying to cause any trouble for you. I just need a little help trying to find a friend of mine.
Yeah, friend, huh? Look, I got nothing to do with no lousy feds. And why don't you do me a favor and scram, huh? And while you're at it, take that friend over there with you.
Meanwhile, in
scaring away all my business.
World, our boys at sea captured
These guys
an
are actually
Axis
pretty good
ship
actors.
in equatorial waters.
These FMV videos.
The Axis vessel unsuccessfully attempted a nefarious ploy to bluff its way through the British blockade. Our sources indicate the Axis boat falsely flaunted our very own stars and stripes and had an American name painted on her pilot house and stern in an attempt to pass itself off as one of our own. Our American cruiser's good commander was too smart to fall.
Excuse me. I'm looking for a man named George Hansen. He used to work at the Finster Munitions Factory. Do you know where I might be able to find him?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I haven't made his acquaintance.
Thanks for your time.
Without incident. In other global news,
what's your name?
And near zero weather in Russia.
Who wants to know?
My name's Jim Pearson. I'm from the COI.
More bad news for the
Well, have a seat, Jimbo.
Began an offensive in North Africa along the 130-mile Libya
The name's
line.
Winslow.
Score
Dick
one for
Winslow.
Hitler, though. Wire
Nice to meet you,
reports
Mr. Winslow.
confirm that the Australian
What brings you here?
Sydney was
Oh, no
sunk
need
by
to
a
be so
German
formal. You
raider
can call me Dick.
disguised as a Dutch merchant ship. I guess our mates down
I'm
under
just here for a
took
drink.
two lessons from our own boys at
Really?
sea.
This just doesn't seem like your type of place.
Well, why not? Can't a working Joe like me go out for a drink? Can't he try someplace new?
Well, you just seem a little overdressed, is all.
These talks come right on the heels of Tojo's
Guilty as charged, sport. Not a bad bit of deduction, that.
With the Pacific crisis
well, I might as well confess, you're right.
Officials in Washington hope that Caruso, Japan's
with the
pinch hitter on the
FBI.
diplomatic diamond,
Really?
can head off a military confrontation.
What are you doing here?
Staking the place out. I thought I might get a lead on the torso killer, but I haven't had much luck yet.
Continental Congress for Freedom displayed surprising
You're new here, aren't you?
Yeah, I just started.
Oh, you don't say. And, what brings you here to McGinty's, Jimbo?
Well, I'm working on an investigation of my own.
Oh, really? How interesting. Did someone steal some plans for a secret weapon? Huh? Or commit an act of sabotage, perhaps?
No, nothing like that. I'm looking into a group of possible German subversives.
Well, perhaps your men are on our little German blacklist. You mean they haven't told you about that? Your office should have a copy. Really, I'd complain to my superiors right away. How can a new agent hope to succeed without the necessary tools?
What is this list?
It's a list of suspicious Americans of German descent. FBI's been keeping tabs on them for a while now. Oh, it wouldn't take much for some of them to sell out Uncle Sam for Uncle Adolf, huh?
Thanks for the information, Dick. This list might come in handy. Well, I should be going now.
Listen, sport. You're new here, so I'll give you one little bit of free advice. Some of the people in your department have stepped on some toes, so be careful where you put your foot down.
I'll remember that.
It was a pleasure to meet you, Jimbo. Drop by my office anytime.
Thanks, Dick. I just may take you up on that.
Nice. I mean, these guys really feel like they're from the 1940s.
Today's weather, one
cool.
word, friends. Brr. And finally, in sports today, the Barons extend their winning streak to 7 games by defeating the Washington Lions 3-0 in an American Hockey League game. And unconfirmed reports from Indians management indicate that they are about to sign a 24-year-old Indian shortstop, Smiling Lou Boudreau, to a 2-year contract to manage our hometown boy.
Yeah, let's check that out. So those are vintage clips, I guess. Some German list I gotta have. Let's take a look. Finster, talk to him, Murillo, talk to him. Let's go back to Sullivan now, so some more questions.
Yes?
Sorry to bother you, sir.
Not at all, Mr. Pearson. Come right in.
The blacklist, yeah, that's what I gotta ask about.
Sir, is it true that the FBI's made a list of suspicious German Americans?
Who have you been talking to?
Special Agent Winslow, sir.
Oh, yes, Agent Winslow. It's true, we do have such a list. When France fell to the Germans, a lot of people felt that it must be due to the work of a fifth column of spies and traitors. It got the boys in Washington thinking that if we weren't careful, things might happen the same way here. Well, Mr. Hoover and his FBI set to work, watching anyone they felt could betray their own countrymen. Naturally, important Americans of German descent were watched most closely.
Could I get a look at it, sir? I believe there might be a connection between some of the names on that list and the case that I'm investigating.
Just remember, son, it's possible that any of these men on that list are hard-working Americans, no different than you or I. Don't go off all half-cocked simply because Hoover's men put a name on a list.
Yes, sir. He's referring to, of course, J. Edgar Hoover, who is the FBI director, and a pretty notorious one at that. J. Edgar Hoover, yep, quite a man. Let's see. Let's, now I have a blacklist now. Check my inventory, blacklist. A list of guys here.
Mr. Finster?
Yeah.
I wonder if I can show him the blacklist. Let's see. Can't use that. Nope. Can't use that. He's still there? Okay, yeah, he's still there.
And now for the day's news. Our top story today comes straight from the tough and tumble neighborhood of...
Look, I don't mean to be critical, Jimbo, but the people around here are going to be afraid to open up to me if they see me talking to a Fed.
As his head count hits 7, the
Sorry, Dick.
citizens of Cleveland
I won't bother
raised
you.
their voices in protest.
Oh,
Meanwhile,
okay.
the city police have been baffled by this insidious madman's terrible work. The latest victim, discovered by 2 children playing along the banks of the Cuyahoga River, remains unidentified. Meanwhile, in news from around the world, our boys at sea captured an Axis ship in equatorial waters. The Axis vessel unsuccessfully attempted a nefarious ploy to bluff its way through the British blockade. Our sources indicate the Axis boat falsely flaunted our very own stars and stripes and had an American name painted on her pilot house and stern in an attempt to pass itself off as one of our own.
No, the radio
Our
news is
American
actually interesting
cruiser's
to hear.
group commander was too smart to fall for such a trick, however, and he immediately ordered the ship to heave to.
Anyways, I'm gonna stop this here, but this is Black Dahlia, and yeah, I would say this is an upgrade over Ripper in terms of the interface and stuff. It's a lot easier to move around, and you can actually view the environment instead of just, you know, watching full motion videos every time. And yeah, I think it's just as intriguing actually. So yeah, if you liked Ripper or like the other kind of similar titles, any kind of investigative murder mystery kind of stuff, Blade Runner type of stuff. Yeah, this is not sci-fi like Ripper is, but I really like the setting as well, because cyberpunk is really cool, right, in the future, but also 1940s America is also really cool too. Another great setting. This film noir type of vibe I get from this game is also really cool as well. So guys, Black Dahlia, another great point-and-click full motion video adventure from the 90s. These are always really interesting and charming. And actually, some of the actors here are doing pretty well. Yeah, they really act like they're from the 40s. So, guys, thanks for watching.
Can head off a military conference.